What celebrity did you adore, but have since changed your mind? My brother loved Darryl Strawberry. My brother was at a baseball camp and was in elevator with his idol and asked for an autograph, which Darryl replied, "Get away from me, kid." Broke my brother's heart. Hopefully Oprah comes up in this list, because if there's anything this videos was good for, it was giving people that are just plain bad a platform. In a sense, Dr. Oz is responsible for the things Oz says. Phil is responsible for what Phil says. Oprah is responsible for both because she made both of them through her show. Jimmy Fallon, I get when people don't like that he laughs at all his jokes. Whatever, I dig it, and it always give me a chuckle and made him fun to watch IMO. And then the allegations of him being a giant dickwad came out. It felt like Ellen all over again. So also Ellen. Nicki Minaj. The way she was poking fun at the fact that Meg Thee Stallion's mom died is such a serious line to cross for me. Anyone who has ever lost a parent young would know how sensitive that shit is. Also, cops having to prevent Barb's from defacing Meg's mother's gravesite? Unfathomable. I used to adore Kevin Spacey for his acting, but after the allegations against him, my opinion drastically changed. Conor McGregor, as an Irish UFC fan before he came along, it was amazing to see his rise and the buzz around him. I couldn't get enough of him. Now he's just a coked-up social media influencer, really. Jared Leto. Used to be a huge 30 Seconds to Mars fan, still loved the first 3 albums, and he seemed like a solid guy from the interviews I had seen back in the day. Over time though, I started to realize how pretentious he is. Like he has some Bono complex. He sees himself like some profound artist who is changing the world. Lance Armstrong. He wins 7 TDFs in a row. He was my hero. Then you got caught doping. Meh, everyone does at that level. Then the stories that came out to the lengths he would go to cover up that doping, while stridently denying that he was doping. Fuck that lying hypocritical liar. Aaron Rodgers. I wasn't exactly a fan, but he seemed like a decent guy and a talented quarterback. Wow, he has gone completely off the deep end. Although, he may have always been a nut job, he just kept it under wraps. Ellen DeGeneres. As a baby gay in a rural town, seeing people on TV cheer for someone like me really meant a lot. But you can't ignore creating a toxic workplace. Not to mention, some of those pranks were just mean, looking back on it. Ariana Grande. I used to love her music. I can't in good faith listen now. It's now 3 relationships she has home wrecked. This isn't a youthful mistake anymore. Lizzo. It was quite a shock. Russell Brand. Horrified that I was ever so dumb. Alec Baldwin. He's a douchebag in real life. Horrible to photographers, makes homophobic statements, got kicked off a plane for arguing with a flight attendant, treated his ex-wife like dirt. That horrible phone message he left his young daughter, playing with a loaded gun on the set and killed a co-worker, and now his nutty wife and 7 kids with her. Unreal. Was a really big fan of Marilyn Manson and Slipknot, particularly the frontman Corey Taylor when I was a teenager. Manson got outed for being an asshole and Taylor became too full of himself and annoying. I have always and do still love Hugh Grant. However, with each story that comes out about him, it has begun to subside. I still think he can be misunderstood as his fellow Brit with a dry sense of humor. I can see how a lot of it has been misconstrued in the press. I shall continue to monitor the situation. Elon Musk. At the beginning of things I was pretty on board the whole he's a Martian that wants to go home. I was never a fanboy, but he seemed like a pretty cool and smart guy. But the cracks started to show pretty quickly after that. Decided I hated him when he called that diver a pedophile because his stupid submarine didn't work. It was hard being a Kunai fan for the past decade. Alas, I just cannot defend that man anymore. Bill Cosby. I grew up watching The Cosby Show and his movies. In the past year or so, Barry Keoghan. I used to love his whole vibe. He loves playing weirdos and he's clearly very dedicated to his craft. A bunch of stories came out roughly a year or so ago about him being a belligerent cockhead on set, being disrespectful to co-stars, freaking people out with his behavior, and the stories just lined up a little bit too perfectly with the kinds of characters he plays in movies. Now I can't look at him without thinking we are going to find out something very disturbing about this man within the next 5 years or so.